It's times like these that you want to go down to the spooky show.
Ooh.
It's, yeah. Skeletons, ghosts too, coming together to scare you. They don't care if you are scared, because that's like the whole point of why you're here.
I feel like there was a stretch of novelty songs, of like monster-focused novelty songs.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
short-lived.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Short-lived, though.
I listened to one recently called Hearse with a Curse.
Oh, that's great.
Ooh, that's a good one.
shit.
Yeah.
That's a good one. We enjoy Ghost Upstairs, the cut Fred Astaire song.
Yep.
That's a great one. We have some mighty fine affairs. Using the word affair to refer to not cheating on your wife is the most like old-timey thing you could possibly do.
Quite an affair.
It's with a ghost. I had an affair with a ghost.
With a ghost. Well, it's implied that it's a dude ghost as well.
Of course.
That it's like his friend. It's just this pal, the ghost upstairs. But then the ghost comes out in the movie, and it's a female. I think it has like female legs, and they dance together.
A hot babe.
What's it? Yeah, it's like a hot babe. It's like a hot ghost babe. Well, she's wearing a sheet. Like it's a full like that kind of ghost thing.
Yeah.
There's a new movie coming out, a Ghost Story. Directed by the guy that did Ain't Them Bodies Saints.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's a ghost story, but the ghost is just wearing a sheet.
Yeah,
like
that's Casey Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably best that they throw a sheet over Casey Affleck. Just like, he's not in this.
Speaking.
We're just going to toss one over.
No.
Yeah. And it's him and Kate Mara, I think. I was speaking about this the other day where people often talk about like rich people, they never had to earn it. They don't know what it's like to fight for it. You have something good by having to earn it. It's like no, they do, because they can live comfortably and then work on their craft and their art and their skill and then become more successful at it than me, because I have to grind 60 hours a week to eat and to own a home.
That's true. It's interesting to think about that like people, like wealthy people, are able to hone a craft a little bit better.
And we talk about any artist of any significance, like prior to probably 1920, it was an extremely rich person who could sit around all day, and like every philosopher, every like man of letters, they're all incredibly rich people. Our whole culture and history is written by rich people, which is why we have no hope of reclaiming our society.
We're gonna die today.
That's pretty much that's what the time is.
We had a mighty fine affair.
Now we're all ghosts. Welcome to Reasonable Beef, everybody. My name is Tim E. Kish. We live in a hopeless nanny state. I'm here with my good friend Tom.
Why do you do like you can never just say Dom's here?
It's Dom's. You're always here.
Well, I like when you plant it like a mystery. Sure. And who's here?
But you weren't here the last two episodes. So everyone's gonna be like,
"Oh fuck, you're right, dude. That's true. I am back."
Whatever. Dom's back, and I have a guest today.
Hi,
Who?
Jamie.
Where?
Here. Wait, I don't know. What? We're in Burbank?
We're in Burbank.
Yeah, we blindfolded her and brought her over here.
We're in Burbank.
Cool.
Yeah,
Jamie Loftus is with us today.
Hi.
Very funny comedian / writer / animator / jack of literally every trade.
Yeah. I can do a handstand.
You do a handstand? That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
I'm not dressed for it, but I can do it. Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I always love saying my guests are very funny before an episode, because when you're not funny, that's always really fun. No, Jamie Loftus from the Bechtelcast is here.
Hi.
We're doing a Defenders of the Goddamn Rotten number 4. Defenders of the Rotten. And you guys know the rules. This is a game we play once a month. There is one movie considered good we bring down to the depths, baby. And one movie that's down in the dumps that we're raising to the levels of opulence, of the highest.
Holy fuck.
Highest levels.
Yeah, opulence is big, man.
Of the highest levels of society. Now, basically, just give a more realistic. We use the Rotten Tomatoes number, which obviously is not an actual number. It is an aggregate score. But who cares? I don't care.
Well, it's funny that it started to mean its own thing. So even if you can look at, and we always talk about the actual score that's next to it, where you can see that like even something that has like a 20 actually has like a 6, but
right.
Or I mean like a 60, but it's the percentage has come to mean its own thing. So we're kind of going off of that.
It's lies. We're lying.
It's about all lies. We're talking about lies. We're liars.
Love lies.
Building off lies.
Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
Love that
handstand
show.
thing was a lie.
Pretty Little Liars.
Is that
I
a
love-
Is that a show? Big Little
Big
Lies.
Little
Big Little
Lies.
Lies, yeah,
Come
HBO,
on, guys.
baby.
Yeah, it's
Who's
really
in
good.
Reese Witherspoon.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman's great.
Shailene Woodley.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Alexander Skarsgård.
So everyone who had a career
Adam
10 years
Scott.
Oh, no, come on. Skarsgård's good.
Hey.
A bunch of great child. Laura Dern is
Yeah, Laura
in
Dern.
it.
Okay, cool.
It's,
Yeah.
oh, what a show.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
What a
weird. She
show.
the whole time talks about dinosaurs.
Zoe Kravitz.
Oh wow. The daughter of Lenny.
Uh-huh.
That is her
from The
claim to
Simpsons.
fame.
I thought you were going to do like some big fucking
I was
twist at
trying
the
to
end
think
there.
of who her mom was, and then I genuinely couldn't think of who it was. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Daughter-
Lenny is a funny enough name. That's
daughter
good.
of the ghost upstairs.
Yeah. Welcome to fucking Defenders.
Yeah.
This is
Freaking
a heavily
Defenders.
edited podcast. All right, we're gonna kick it off.
Let's do it.
We'll do the Rays. We'll bring them up from the dead.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I'll start with Dom.
All right. So I'm not doing a movie here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, and I know Jamie, you actually wrote about this already.
I
Tim told
did.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Girl Boss, because it's one of those things where I'm seeing what people saw. Like I'm seeing where the criticisms came from. Like you know what I mean. I'm not saying that it's just shit that's made up. It's coming out of nowhere, but I don't necessarily agree, and I don't think it like. It kind of just confused me.
All right, tell me more about Girl Boss.
So Girl Boss it's Sophia Amoruso, Mario Sophia Almonds. And she wrote a book called Girl Boss, which was like
Hashtag
her
Girl Boss.
hashtag Girl Boss, her autobiography
I
about
like the hashtag is the new the in titling now. Right. No, just everything.
right.
Right.
Hashtag Grapes of Wrath. And she started a business on eBay. Where she flips clothes. She would take old vintage clothes,
Turn them upside
cut
down.
them up,
Sell
turn them
them.
upside down and sell them upside down to people. And yeah, like I don't know, the show is one of those things. So people's beef with it is that she's very unlikable. Which I like see and agree. Like I see what they're seeing, but this is like a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes for like the series.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like kind of really people are really not liking it.
I really didn't like it.
Yeah, and that's I'm
Yeah.
glad because we can actually have like a conversation about it. Like I thought she was funny. I thought the show was charming. I
Who's
thought
the
it was
lead
really
woman?
Britt Robertson.
Okay.
So she was actually this was one of the first things actually I've seen her in that I liked her in. She's the girl from Tomorrowland. She was the girl from
Oh,
What did we
the
see?
blonde girl from the
Space
spaceman.
Yeah, Spaceman Between Us. And she was really good in this. I thought she did a really good job. And I guess my overall problem with the criticism of it is that I never felt like the show was telling us she was right. And it seems like a lot of people are kind of offended, and it seems a little grotesque because it seems like she's mean to people, she steals shit, and then she gets what she wants. But like, I don't know, my experience watching it, and I watched every episode of it, it very much felt like when she did shit that was shitty to people or was like an asshole, she kind of paid for it. Like no one ever seemed okay about it. And this, even the show, like, you know what I mean? When we talked about this before, where you can just feel the hands behind either the movie or the show. You can tell what the intention is. And I never felt like the hands behind it were trying to tell me, this is a cool way to be, and like this is good, and just take what you want, and who cares? Like it
Right.
felt like it was painting a portrait of someone we're supposed to kind of be judging and be like, oh, that's not necessarily a great way to be. And then you do get these little, and this is why Britt Robertson's performance I thought was really good in it, because you can see, maybe not intentionally all the time, but you can see it being like a cover for who she really is. You know what I mean? Like you can see that there's someone in there who's like putting a mask on a little bit when she's being silly and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It just confused me how much hate it has.
Sure.
You know?
That seems like it almost seems like a similar criticism with the show Girls of where the main
Yeah.
character just doesn't seem to get punished for her terrible, awful behavior.
Well, I don't know. I think that Girls, for all the criticism that rightfully surrounds it, is essentially a good show. Where Girl Boss,
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
know. I just there's a lot about it that I don't like. It's like I have no problem with an unlikable protagonist. Like that's most. I mean, if you look at Mad Men, Breaking Bad, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
every male protagonist pretty much with little exception. But this was just it wasn't.
Felt nasty
I don't
or
think
something?
that I just don't think that character was ever really punished by the show, and that's the point of a show. If you have an unlikable protagonist, you've got to make the show kick their ass a little bit. And it seemed like she encountered consequences that never lasted for more than like one episode, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then my problem with the show is more has to do with the subject matter that it took, because I hate when there's like a bio anything where the subject is involved in the production, because if you look at Sophia Amoruso's story, it's just that whole show, it just feels like
they're kind of controlling
disingenuous,
the narrative.
like,
I know what you mean.
and I'm just very tired of being sold like girl power TV. It just feels like a very disingenuous form of, and I was reading like stuff that the creator Kay Cannon was saying about it, basically saying like, yeah, she's not perfect, she's not a likable protagonist, but she's supposed to like inspire viewers to do it. And it's like, no, that's some Spice Girl shit for me. It's just like, it just feels like a form of feminism that's weirdly coated in money. And
I totally see Hillary Clinton-esque feminism at the risk of going too far. And I know I haven't seen this, so I can't comment too hard. From what I hear, it sounds like a modern Horatio Alger kind of like rags to riches, pulling yourself up and capitalist whatever. Like, and they do handle some of the sadness, but at the end of the day, like, she's the boss and she's taking what's hers and she makes it.
I guess, but you know what? Maybe it was just because I felt like the tone was so goofy most of the time that, like, again, it never made me uncomfortable when she was being that way. Like, I was kind of like, I mean, the show's just funny. Like, I don't know. It made me laugh a lot. I thought the characters were really
What's the
funny.
tone of the humor?
Like, her and her best friend are really, like, silly with each other. I mean, there's shit where it's like someone walks up behind someone and they say hi, and the girl, like, screams and turns around and goes like, huh, alive or ghost? Because she's, like, alone in the warehouse together with the person, and the person's like, alive. Okay, how long have you been standing there? 40 minutes. And it's like, I don't know, like, that kind of stuff makes me laugh.
Sure, silly. It's cartoonish.
It's just silly. Yeah, it is cartoonish. So I guess, like, I don't know what it was. I mean, it's hard being on that side of something that's like,
sure,
almost universally people are disliking.
It almost seems to be that you two in the two camps you're in, where Jamie doesn't like it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to speak for you guys, but Jamie doesn't like it almost on like a higher level. She doesn't like what it's saying as a project, and like at its very base, what its intentions are. And what you're saying is like the dialogue's pretty funny. And the characters, like, you think that she was punished at least somewhat, and you think that as just a piece of writing and as a piece of media, it doesn't deserve to be like trashed.
Yeah, no, not trashed.
Right. No, I mean, well, I agree that like Britt Robertson does a good job, and there's so many talented people involved in the making of this show.
Right.
But yeah, for me, most of the problem is kind of like you were saying, like, have to do with the foundation of we're not going to tell, like, just doing a bio story dishonestly sucks.
I understand that. I guess for me, I kind of didn't know anything about it. Like, I knew nothing about who she was. I didn't even know what. I didn't know when I saw the trailer for the show. I didn't know it was based on anything. I just was like, oh, that's fun.
Right.
Well,
she starts an eBay show or eBay
and if
store.
it wasn't based on anything, I feel like maybe it would be better received.
Maybe.
I think so too, but then it becomes hard to if Sophia is really a fictional character and we didn't go into the show knowing that she's going to become extremely successful, I feel like it's almost even harder to watch, because you're like, this person is an asshole. Like, what are they doing? And then again, this is like a very specific criticism, but like Sophia Amoruso has been sued for like just the fact that it's like, oh, girl power. Sophia Amoruso has been sued for firing pregnant women.
Right.
Girl power. Sophia Amoruso, her company went bankrupt and she bailed on everyone. Like, it just.
I see that, but I do think it's important to take the thing as the thing. Like, it's hard because she like you're saying, she's like a producer on it, so that way it gets fucking muddy there.
Separate it. If she's got to sign off on everything, and it's like, well, I don't want this negative thing about me to be on display, so let's distill it to like, well, she's not likable, she's a little bossy, but it's.
I guess I just still do try to, like, when I don't know.
For me, that raises serious red flags, because what it's really saying is that it becomes a propaganda piece at a certain point where it's no longer like,
it's like
just this funny
lifting her
thing.
image.
And so
Yeah.
people see this and go, that's the story of that woman. And it's really not. Maybe supports her and what she's all about. Maybe she has like, I don't know, maybe later down the line, Sophia Amoruso runs for office or something. Like this, you're building this cult of personality around this woman that's completely disingenuous. And I feel like a lot of people may not be able to draw the line between this is the person and this is the character.
Again, though, I guess
haven't seen it.
That's
so
why
fuck
it helped for me that I knew nothing about this person.
Yeah,
So like me just
yeah.
watching this show,
Totally.
I was like, oh,
so you
this
got
is
tricked, you fucking rube.
I didn't then go like, oh, that must be exactly how it happened. Like, because
Sure.
of course, because again, the show's very goofy. The show is not doesn't
Editorialized.
feel like real life. It doesn't feel like. But then I don't know. I appreciated it doing the really goofy things, and then every so often there was stuff about her dad or with her and her friend. Like, there's just one episode that's just about her and her best friend, and it's like really sweet, and it kind of like came out of nowhere for me in the show, and I was like, fuck, that was actually really like nice. I don't know, like it really. Like,
What are you
it
pumping
was-
it up to?
What'd
It's
you say?
at 31,
It's
right?
like 32 or something. I don't know, man. That's like a 60. Like, I feel like I want to just put it over the line of like, I could see it still being divisive. And again, like, I understand. I don't not see what everybody's seeing in it, but like, I don't know, man. It feels weird that it's like, for how well made it is and for how funny it is.
Sure.
Like it almost feels unfair. If this is it's this lone character that maybe we're not seeing a lot of, and like, because I feel again, it's like you're saying, we see how many times have I seen that dude who's like kind of a dick, but he's good at the thing he does,
Right.
And
Right.
so you
Like
forgive him, and he's
Dr. House.
funny. Yeah, I mean, all these
Tony
people, they're
Stark
terrible.
or- yeah.
They're mean, and you like look at how they treat other people sometimes, and you're like, fuck, like.
Right.
But this maybe is a hairline over. I do see what you're saying, but I guess what I was getting at was like, I wonder though too if it's that thing of like, there's more attention on like when there's a girl character like this right now. It's kind of like it is maybe more important that it's that's maybe evened out a little better, or I don't know. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I don't know. Again, it just comes to me for like, if this were like a piece of total fiction, it would be easier to look at that objectively. But yeah, it just feels caricature like.
I feel that.
me.
Yeah, I guess you're bringing up too. I never really was getting tangled up with who she actually is.
Jamie, we're going to do your raise.
Okay, I'm gonna raise I Frankenstein.
What the fuck?
I Frankenstein.
Okay, please.
Listen, I Frankenstein is, if you're not familiar, Aaron Eckhart's Frankenstein Passion Project.
Oh my god! Wait, really? Is this like he loved this?
We don't know. We can't be sure. I like to assume that it is. I don't know. It came out in 2014. I saw this movie 3 times in theaters.
Oh my god!
All 3 times in totally empty theaters.
Yes.
It is a fun watch on every level. We've got Adam Frankenstein.
Is that his name?
Yes.
Played by Aaron Eckhart, Adam Frankenstein. And it's like, you might not like think of this, but it's a little bit biblical, you know? He's like Adam Frankenstein. And it starts with, first of all, almost none of the movie has to do with the story of Frankenstein.
None of it.
There are references to the creator, but that scene ends up being pretty much has nothing to do with anything. Adam Frankenstein is always carrying around nunchucks. There is a
Cool.
whole
Yeah.
sequence where he's sent out of whatever Frankenstein time, 1800s. He's like cast out of society. Also, the whole movie has to do with the war between gargoyles and demons,
Yes.
which is
Great shit.
which is
Frankenstein.
a great-
Want me to respond?
Frankenstein's
Mary
in-
Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yes.
Whose side is he on? Is he
Right.
with the
That's-
gargoyles? Is he with the demons? Also, it's
a
not
great
totally
question.
clear who is the good guy
Yeah.
in that. It's the gargoyles.
There is an amazing line in that movie where he's talking to the leader of the gargoyles and he goes, I don't know who I am. I'm neither man nor gargoyle, nor demon, nor ghost, nor werewolf.
And it
nor
goes on for like
vampire.
45
It's
minutes.
like unreal. And that's everything this movie is.
He has nunchucks, but my favorite scene in the whole movie is when he's cast out of Frankenstein times, and then there's just like, the passage of 200 years, and we just see Adam
Thank you. Yeah.
Frankenstein walking around in mountainous areas, swinging his nunchucks thoughtfully at the top of a cliff.
Oh, man.
It's unbelievable. And then he goes back into society, and then there's a scene where Adam Frankenstein's at a nightclub, and he's like, what the hell is this? And you're like, this guy fucking rules. I love it. I'm with him. I'm on his side. And then the whole thing with the gargoyles and demons start, and it's like, who's he with? And then he is, well, technically he's dead, but he meets a hot scientist and she doesn't care. But anyways,
whose name is Terra, by the way, because she's the Earth. Okay.
She's the Earth. Yeah, I mean, that's another very subtle touch.
We're just gonna,
Wow. The only thing you need to know about this character is she is hot. And Bill Nighy's in
smart.
this movie.
Bill Nye?
Yeah, Bill
Oh,
Nighy.
no.
Nighy.
Yeah.
Bill Nighy. This is a great part for Bill Nighy because you cannot totally tell if he knows he's in a movie or not, or if so, what the movie might be about.
Interesting.
His character is I don't know if he knows this, but I happen to know he is like the demon prince, I think.
happen
and
to
he works with the hot scientist. He's a science guy / demon prince. And what he wants to do is like use Adam Frankenstein for something, and then there's like a whole warehouse full of bodies that Bill Nighy wants to reanimate. Again, I can't say that he knows this is happening, but it's great. And all Bill Nighy's lines might be improvised. Like none of them seem to be directly related to the plot, but you're like, oh, he's a bad guy.
So it sounds like you like this because it's terrible, though, right?
Or
do you think that there's something sincere in there? There's like a genuine.
It's all sincere, but it's also all terrible, and that is like what makes a great bad movie is like you could tell people really put their heart and soul into it. No one's phoning it in, Aaron Eckhart included. He's really giving it his all.
Yeah, all right.
And the movie fully sets you up for a sequel that 20 minutes in. There's no way it's gonna happen. But it's so it's so cheap looking, and if you look at it, it had like a decent budget, but it looks like it cost $14 to make. Like the costumes that the gargoyle. Okay, so there's a gargoyle queen, and at first we're like, is there something between Adam and the gargoyle queen? No, she's just a mother figure. But anyways, they're both immortal. She takes Adam Frankenstein in, and he speaks he speaks only in grunts. And he's like, what do you want me to do? And then there's all these weapons, and she's like, you need to choose the weapon which suits you. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll take the nunchucks.
2 big sticks. Give me that.
So he takes the nunchucks again, and I love this movie. It's so fun.
It is insane. It's off the wall.
It is
how
bananas.
sincerely they take every bit of this movie.
Yeah.
And she's right. That's what makes it 100% fantastic. Just because watching people take this stupid premise, Frankenstein, the first 10 minutes is Frankenstein, and then this is a Frankenstein movie. This is insane that this is like, I can't.
It's gargoyles versus demons.
I have no words that can express just how truly. I think it's done. So there were talks of crossover with Underworld. There were talks of Kate Beckinsale's character appearing like as the post-credit stinger of like, we need you in a war.
Nice.
Like have her show up. So, which would be an amazing universe because now you're adding Underworld. So that joke I made earlier about the werewolves and the vampires, we're literally about to make that happen. But I feel like studios have been trying to do this for a minute, like have this big expanded universe of like not copyrighted monsters that they can pull out of their pocket, like a Wolfman or vampires or whatever like that. And this was clearly riding the wave of sexy vampires, where they're like, we're going to do sexy Frankenstein.
A weird choice.
It didn't quite play out. And he is sexy. They try to say that, so Frankenstein is an abomination.
He's hot.
Frankenstein is a bunch of different body parts slapped together and then given life through the power of electricity. And he says this constantly about how much of a disgusting abomination he is. He has one cut, like on his left cheek. Yeah. And there's the scene where he's walking around in the nightclub and he's like, some things haven't changed, because everyone's gawking at him. It's like, dude, you look like a fucking nut. Like you have a scar on your face. You're wearing big long robes. It's not because you're ugly. It's because you're like, where's the gargoyles? It's like, get away from me.
But then in his defense, there are gargoyles there.
That's very true.
And he beats them up.
Oh, and they kill a
They're
cop.
like some funky European gargoyles.
Gotcha. I mean, he's not going to not fight them.
Yeah.
Want to fight?
Yeah.
So okay, so not a 3% though. Even still being like a bad,
No, it's a fun one.
It sounds like it's like a fun bad movie.
Yeah, the most fun. And I feel like it never got its due as like I feel, and this is why I raise it. I feel it should be a classic bad movie, but it is more of a forgotten one. But I think that there should be like the room style screenings of I, Frankenstein.
So this is
Well, I
interesting.
feel like
though.
we're positioned to make that happen. I mean, we're here in Los Angeles. Why don't we start like
But
yearly
would
screenings of I,
anyone come
Frankenstein?
if I said, "Hey, gang,
You know what
does
you
a
do?
theater full of people want to watch I, Frankenstein with me?" Like Aaron Eckhart wouldn't go.
You never
don't
know.
know. What's he doing now?
He's interesting to me
He's
because
probably busy, right?
I had somehow gotten
hope.
the
I
impression
hope
of him.
this ruined his career.
I think it was maybe it was Harvey Dent. Maybe that was why, or like around when he was Harvey Dent. Like I thought he was a very serious actor.
yeah.
I had
Right.
gotten this impression that it was
Well,
like
yeah.
Batman was lucky to have gotten this like incredible actual actor,
Guy, yeah.
and then every decision I felt like after Batman was like fucking Battle for Los Angeles and
Yeah.
I, Frankenstein.
Well, it's because they were trying to make him a leading man, and I think he was trying to make himself a leading man, like kind of wanted to
Right.
move his career in that direction. And I think he just was too hasty. He picked some pretty poor projects.
And what was the White House Down? Wasn't he's like the president? in
Oh, there
that?
was like
Or-
two.
or Olympus
like,
has fallen,
something
or
is-
whatever it's called.
Sisyphus has fallen, and then there's like
Sisyphus.
London, and then I don't know what the
London
fuck.
Bridge is falling
Yeah,
down,
it's-
falling down, falling
There
down.
was a couple of them,
Right.
where like White House is in danger movie.
Right. Armageddon.
But yeah, what would you raise it to? Instead of 3.
Would I raise it to? I would raise it to
100.
somewhere between 30 and 100.
Oh,
I would
good.
say 30.
Yeah, so let's go with 30.
Okay.
I think that's fine. I don't think any movie that clearly had this much effort put into it. It is terrible, but it's clearly there was effort. Deserves a 3. It's not completely
You've
worthless.
made me want to watch it.
Give it a watch.
Yeah.
Like I remember,
watch it.
I
It's
did.
so
I watched it on.
good.
It was on
At the
HBO
very
or some
least-
shit, and I watched it one time.
At
But
the very least, like movie clips it on YouTube. Just
Right,
get
okay.
like a taste.
Get the vibe. See if it's for you.
Watch
Probably
watch
it
the
is.
final fight with Bill Nye,
Oh,
where like
so
he puts 3 cuts across his chest, and then for his final slash, he like hits him through the middle, and it creates a cross. Oh, and that's what sends him to hell. And it's
Oh,
like
Yeah.
shit.
that's how he beats him.
That's dope.
Bill Nye, I would bet money,
The science guy.
doesn't know. He did not know he was in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
he
I mean,
didn't.
he's that guy too. Like he's a good actor.
He's a,
like
great- yeah,
he's a great
well-respected actor.
Yeah,
I
and they
feel
were like,
it's
"Hey,
this
do you-"
is a movie for people to pay off their debts.
Probably they were probably like, "Do you want
Maybe.
$3 million to be
Something
the
like
fucking
that.
Gargoyle King or Demon
And he
King?"
goes,
Sorry, excuse me.
And they're like, yeah, I guess that was a yes. Let's ship him. That's fine.
Yeah.
Put
me in a box.
I can be.
All right, Tim.
All right. I guess my raise.
What are you bringing?
My raise, 2006 film, Adam Sandler, Christopher Walken, Click.
Gotcha.
Interesting pick.
It's a click.
An interesting click.
Now,
isn't it?
I'm not raising it too high. It's going from a 30 to a 50. I'm just going to give that ahead of time.
Okay.
Because it's uneven. It's remarkably uneven. Some of the jokes are pretty gross and not in a good way. It's paced stupid. But no movie that brings me to tears will ever get below a 50 for me.
That's fair.
Because when it is on, when it does find its emotional moments, even if they're like pulling at your heartstrings, even if it's very clearly a moment that's supposed to like, you know, maybe not entirely deserved, it fucking worked. Like seeing Adam Sandler do anything seriously, breaking out. Adam Sandler lives in a world of hell. I truly believe that. I think that his world is like a nightmare, and I think he's desperately wants to express himself. Anytime Adam Sandler plays it straight, I can't
agree.
help but be affected by it. Just because I'm not a huge Sandler fan, but seeing the funny man cry is always touching.
It's true. Robin Williams did it 400 million times.
Yes.
It works, and it worked every time. Jim
did.
Carrey, when Jim Carrey's serious, it always. Yeah.
It works.
Absolutely.
To the point where it's like it doesn't even really work when those guys try to be funny anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different, like, you know.
Yeah.
But you need to evolve, I think.
You do, yeah, of
There's
course.
an arc you need to take, and I think doing the serious thing is definitely a good idea. Leaving the wacky, zany broad comedy thing behind you is a good idea. But then, like, you can't go back to broad comedy. I think it's just tough because the same thing happened with Carrey. He did Man on the Moon towards like the end of 1999. He did Eternal Sunshine, which was fantastic, and then just kind of
right?
fizzled out as far as his career went. I mean, Adam Sandler is in a resurgence, but I mean, let's be honest, completely manufactured
Well, like you can't even
Netflix
necessarily call it.
Financially
Yeah,
a
like-
resurgence.
yeah, I was gonna say-
creatively, probably not.
But that's what I'm saying. You were saying you feel like he lives in a hell, but I don't know about that. I
Sure.
think he might be having fun doing those fucking movies.
I think that
man.
I think that he probably doesn't know. Like I think that he's probably got like a fortress of like Google is not accessible to him
Yeah.
and
a concrete fortress where no waves can get
an
in.
information fortress. Yeah.
Isn't he like famously nice as well? Like I feel like every time I hear other people talk about Adam Sandler, they say that he's just like a great dude to hang out with, and so I'm sure I don't know. I sympathize with him. It's just always what's the line of like when you know someone's nice, but they keep making
Get garbage.
kind of weird movies,
Yeah.
just bizarre kind of choices.
The only reason I say that is because when I look at Adam Sandler's eyes, you just see a tiredness.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, but it's like, does he know?
I don't know.
I don't know,
I hope
yeah.
so. I don't know,
Interesting.
man. But to the point of Click,
Yeah.
touching movie at parts. And
Yeah.
I think overall what it's trying to say of like, hey, don't skip it. Like, yeah, these moments are pains in the ass, but it's important. It gives value to life.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, that's a great message for a lot of people. It's something that affects me. I mean, you could even look at the remote control like drugs. Like you want to numb yourself. You just want to like, move forward with your life, have
Coast
something to
away.
just kind of coast your life by. And you realize that that's not the way you can live your life. You need to grab hold or else you'll end up with nothing at all. Or nothing that's important to you. And in between those 2 points, dude sticks his balls in another guy's face.
Oh, for sure.
There's a great fart joke.
Cool.
And
Oh, for sure.
when you look at it on the whole, it's like, wow, those are high-minded ideas and a high-concept comedy. But when it comes to the actual movie, it doesn't 100% work all the time. Nick Swartzen's character is like very... like borderline, like, oh, he's gay. That's the funny joke, that he is a gay person. And like in 2006, I guess that was still like a poppin' joke, especially with Happy Madison still in the game. It's a 50.
Yeah.
What can I say?
It's my
That's
mom.
fair.
I haven't seen Click in some time, but my mom has given me. My mom loves Click. She's given me romantic advice based off of Click.
Nice.
So
Forever and ever, babe.
yeah, right. She's like, you can't. Thing is, you can't pause. I was like, amazing point.
Jamie, I'm going to tell you, if the angel of death ever offers you a remote control, you got to say no.
You gotta say no, it'll screw you up. So
His name is Morty, by
I'm
the
with
way.
ya. I'm with
Hilarious.
Angel of death.
The angel of death.
Oh
what
man,
he
if he
says.
did that and his face like fucking spun and his jaw hinged.
Like wings, fucking looks like Bill Nye from
Yeah.
I Frankenstein. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Anyone?
On Click?
I'm with you on this
Yeah,
one.
dude. I mean,
think.
I always was. I haven't seen it in a long time, and maybe I'd watch it again and be like, oh, I understand now why maybe more people, like adult people, were like, no, that's not a really great movie. But I remember seeing it and it really hitting me and it being super like emotional. And we were young, man. It's like funny to think. What year was this? 2003.
2006.
6.
Yeah.
Fuck a duck.
10 years ago. Or 11
That's
years
crazy to think. So we were 12, 13. And it's crazy that I like vividly remember that affecting me. And you're like 12. I don't fucking know anything.
We were 14. We were in high school.
So, okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, it's just weird to think of like being even younger than really considering mortality and your life passing by.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's still kind of like that shit hits you.
Well, it's because I think when, as an adult, you're looking at it and be like, don't ever waste a moment. Don't. But as the kid, you're like, I love my dad. That's what you're really thinking.
I get, yeah. Or just the idea of, I guess death is kind of a
Sure,
universal,
it's just tragic.
scary
It's a
thing.
tragic moment. He's pathetic and it's raining
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
on the-
fat and he's son. It's just sad. It's a sad
Yeah,
movie.
it is kind of a sad, and it's just funny that there's a movie. It's like, what is Adam Sandler's take on time and mortality?
Question we didn't know we needed
It's
an
like
answer to.
now we know.
I would go so far as to say this is the best Adam Sandler movie, not comedy, movie. I think as a whole, it works the best. And what it tries to do a serious topic, and I think it tackles it to the best of its ability.
And I think that of many Adam Sandler movies, it has the fewest deeply problematic elements.
Probably.
Where it's like there's so many Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah.
It's like
There's no dude in
the
a dress in this
joke
one.
there's no dude in a dress. There's no like vaguely autistic character that we're making fun
Sure.
of the whole movie. Like you're like, oh, it's just like an okay movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just
I like Anger Management, but that one has some weird fucking.
yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I don't think.
You never seen Anger Management? Go see
don't
that one.
think so.
Jack Nicholson's funny in that.
My
one,
point
too.
is for the final thing, I think this is at the kind of the tail end of Sandler's big comedy career.
If
I
not
think a
the
lot of
tail
people,
end.
yeah, I think a lot of people were sour on Sandler when this came out, and I think that kind of affected that score.
Well, we called it at Jack and Jill, right? That's where.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or
much.
was it That's My Boy?
So
Maybe Jack
I
and
think
Jill.
it's Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill.
Yeah.
Although there is a great bit in Jack and Jill where, so not Robert De Niro,
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino is like a main character in that movie, and he's not advertised as the main character in the movie. And like he's in love with Jill, who breaks one of his Oscars, and she throws it to the ground. He goes, "That's the only one I had." She goes, "Don't you have more?" He's like, "You'd think so, but I don't." That's such a funny, meta, stupid joke.
Very weird.
Very funny.
Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill. All right, we'll move on. We're gonna bring them down.
Bring them down.
Tear them down to the depths. We're gonna descend these movies.
It's not depths, but you know.
But yeah, so our bring down. Damo, what's your bring down?
I'm gonna do Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Okay.
And again, not rocking a super high score already, but this movie we
What's
didn't
the
get to
ballpark? Where's it at?
It's at 73 right
Okay.
now, or 74 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Was that lower than you thought?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought it was like mixed received
Well, okay, that's
movie,
good.
right?
Yeah, I've gotten that impression from our friends, but I never know because I feel like we live in this weird little bubble of like more critical than most
Sure.
people who are going to the movies.
Yeah.
Are. But we get to talk about this one on the podcast, but like this was one of those movies where it ended and I went, why was the main character the main character?
Right.
Why was this about that guy?
Sure.
Because it wasn't
It
about
seems
that
like
guy.
like Atticus Fingerbottom or some super English name. What's his name?
Uh-huh. Newt Scamander.
I was very
Super
remarkably close.
Alabaster Skin Bottom. Yeah, it was like, so it's based on the, right, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is like a textbook that
Yeah, like
Harry
a
Potter
70-page novella that was released in 2002.
But it's not even a story. It's literally, it's right. It doesn't like tell the story of Newt finding
I
the
don't
characters.
think so. I
It's
didn't
a
read it.
textbook.
Newt's not. I don't think is. I think Newt Scamander is the guy that wrote the textbook.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm
and
saying.
the plot of the book is just like the monsters.
Well, in the movie,
Where to
he's-
find them, and then the real hook of it is the annotations by Harry and
right.
Ron.
They've written in the book, right?
Exactly.
And the movie is supposedly he's in the process. He's writing his book right
Sure.
now. So he's discovering, he's finding
Got
these creatures, and he's taking them places,
Mm-hmm.
taking them back where they need to go. However, you see the trailer for this movie, and it's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and there's a wizard in New York with a briefcase, and there's monsters in his briefcase,
Yeah.
and the briefcase opened up.
Oh,
no.
You just described Wall Street.
Sick.
You're right. They are.
Yeah. So you would think that movie is pretty clear cut about monsters in New York and these wizards trying to hide them and like capture them and get them back. And you would think that the way they even paint it in the trailers are that he lets out like a big monster or like this one that's like they kind of show it, the thing like what we end up finding. Oh fuck, what's the name of it? The
Scatterlywomp. Some English
no,
as
no,
shit
no.
name.
The thing that's like when you suppress your magic, it turns into a fucking blomp.
Boggart?
Like a blomcomp.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember what it is.
A Blomquist.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Blomquist.
Neil Blomkamp.
Yes.
And they show that in the trailer, but it's implying that like, oh, that's one of the monsters he let out, and that's the main problem. Is that, and then, you know, Colin Farrell is very much like we shouldn't be hiding, we should be out in the open. We're, you know, the wizards shouldn't have to hide anymore.
Sure.
But the movie like has alarmingly little to do with the monsters. Like, and when I say alarmingly, I would say almost nothing to do with the monsters.
Really?
They sometimes lead him in a direction where he's like chasing them and he has to capture them and stuff like that. But the main story of that movie is Ezra Miller's character is like a repressed wizard, and he has like a little sister, and you think the little sister is also magical. And there's this woman who has like who's very anti-witch in New York, and there's the detective, or he's a what's it called,
A muggler?
Is
that what they're called?
No, he's a wizard detective. He's an Auror, right? He's an Auror. He's a dark wizard hunter.
Okay.
Wizard
in
detective.
New York. Yeah, wizard detective. I mean, come on, that's what they are. That
is what they are,
She
yeah.
had that. She had that on her outline,
It's a good
and it
phrase.
said in parentheses, "Find better name."
Think of something Latin
Yeah,
to
right.
call
Yeah.
the wizard detective.
And that's what the movie is about, and which raises again the question: why the fuck is Newt part of this movie because he doesn't even necessarily contribute something thematically until there is a glimmer, and it ultimately is not how the movie gets solved. So there's a glimmer at the end when he finally is having a showdown with Ezra, who you find out is the one who was the repressed wizard whose magic takes I wish I could remember what they call it, but it takes this like evil form.
The muggler.
Yeah, this little muggler.
It's me, the muggler. I'm here for you.
The Hamburglar.
The
Use your magic,
Hamburglar.
love.
It comes out and it destroys New York, and it becomes one with him.
Rabble,
and
rabble.
It's tearing shit apart. And there's a moment where the kid is really scared. They're down in the subway, and the kid is like, quaking and terrified. And you see Newt approach the kid the same way we've seen him approach these creatures, the beasts, because he has a sympathy for these creatures, and he knows that they're smart, and he knows they need to be taken care of, and they all have their own rules of like how to not make them feel threatened and how to make a connection with them. And you see him approaching the kid, and I'm like, oh, that's why he's the main character, because we're all fucking weird beasts, and like he then you were like watching him apply what he knows about the creatures to like a scared person, like as someone who's not in their right mind. Unfortunately, that's not what solves the problem at all. He does that, and you're like, oh, this is beautiful. And then, Ezra's like, ah! And then just turns back into the fucking...
Full-on turkey.
It just turns into a big fucking turkey.
Big-ass turkey.
Yeah.
And then,
how the Macy's
how they
Thanksgiving
beat
Day
him?
parade
They
began.
shoot magic at him. Like
One
they
does.
Yeah, there's a lot of magic shooting. That's how they solve the problem. It is pew pew pew.
It's great. Okay.
I love a good
And so to me, like that's one of the but beyond. I mean, it's that thing where it's like it kind of meanders, where it's like there's that main story, which is really the main story is the thing with the detective who we find, spoilers if you haven't seen it, you find out that it's oh my God, why am I blanking on every Harry Potter name?
Colin.
No, no, it's not Grindelwald. Grindelwald. Oh, yeah, that was it.
See, I just
Wait,
played.
that's so vague, but it is right, isn't it?
It's Grindelwald. Yeah,
I just
yeah.
played
Oh my God.
90-dimensional chess with you to get you to remember that
Dude,
fucking
that's
name.
hilarious because I was trying to just like say
You're
like
on another plane.
fucking
I
graham
will say
cracker
this.
bondle swaddle. Yes, so you find out that the Auror is Grindelwald, Colin Farrell's character,
Grindelwald.
which is annoying because you were watching Colin Farrell like be incredible the whole movie, and then Johnny Depp shows up again and he's like, "Yes, they say I am the craziest wizard," but it was like
Johnny Depp's in this?
yeah, Johnny Depp's fucking Grindelwald, and but you find like he was. They do like fucking Revelo, whatever they call it, and you're like, oh, so the guy who first of all,
Colin Farrell's character turns out to be Grindelwald.
In disguise.
Johnny Depp in disguise. Got
yes, and that always bothers me. I do not like that they did this in the first season of The Flash, where you get to know a villain with one face and with one personality, and then there's like a big reveal at the end that no, they look completely different and sound completely different and are completely different, and the other thing was an act, and you're like, what the fuck was then the point of us thinking that was the villain and understanding how he thinks about everything and him being sneaky? It's like, what's the
Well, but let
why
me
do
counter.
that?
Let me counter because they do the same thing in book 4 with Mad Eye Moody, where you get to know
I feel
Mad
the
Eye.
same way about that. I feel the same way about Mad Eye, where it's like that's so annoying.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, now I get to know the real Mad Eye. It's like, well, then why?
Okay, it's like frustrating, and
Just
that's
have
like
him
a
be
weird
someone
thing
else.
to complain about. But what's frustrating about that is that it's not like Mad Eye was a bad guy to Harry, and then you're like, oh, that's why, and you find out he's actually nice. It's like, oh no, they had like a connection, and he was looking out for him, and you find out he was looking out for him because he needed him to get to fucking Voldemort. But like,
it makes all that character development literally
it's like
pointless.
a bummer. It's a bummer.
Yeah,
And
because the betrayal doesn't hit. If the betrayal hit, it would give credence to that, but it doesn't. It doesn't really. It just kind of rolls off of Harry once he finds the real
name,
Mad
by the
Eye.
way, I think Credence was the name of the kid. Who's
Weird.
Ezra. Whatever.
The weird thing, like I've done I was never very into Harry Potter as a kid, which is weird and felt illegal. But as a series of unfortunate events, gal, what can I say? But anyways, that was like it's weird to me because Newt, I feel like it is, he's the Harry Potter of this franchise,
Right.
if you will. And Harry Potter is sort of like an avatar who kids are supposed to be like, oh, that's me. So like Harry always, does the right thing, and he isn't the most dynamic character in the series, but I feel like they turn that up so much with Newt's characters. It was like, what if we made the main character so neutral and so possible to project yourself on that it's almost like it doesn't matter if they're in the movie.
Well, he was
or
also,
not.
but it's funny because there was also though a hint because of them doing that made him really weird and made him kind of hard to like.
Right.
True.
And they were sort of drilling in that he has like a social something or other problem that where like he has a hard time reading people and connecting with people. And,
add that quirk to your character to make them more interesting. God.
Right.
And it's just back down to the blueprint of it. I don't understand. Again, it's like why if you're gonna do this other era from the Wizarding World, like why hinge it on that? And I guess it's because it's a known property because people know the book.
It's so cash grabby though. I don't like
But
it.
I don't
they've
mind.
realized it because they've course corrected because the next 4 movies are gonna be Dumbledore, right? He's not even in them.
Oh, really?
Newt's gone. Yeah, apparently.
Is Newt gone?
That was my.
I thought he was still gonna
that
be
was
in
my
it.
understanding. Is that
So
the
now we're
series
doing
was
young
shifting
Dumbledore?
to young Dumbledore, which is what this movie should have
Why
been.
not?
Oh, that's
the whole
cool.
time.
Okay, I was like, why did we even make the Harry Potter movies if we were going to get young Dumbledore
Well,
eventually?
you knew, like I knew
That's
as soon as they said it in that time period, it became okay. When are we seeing Grindelwald and Dumbledore in their legendary duel? Like I knew that's where we were going. Right. But again, I thought it was going to be more hung up on Newt. I thought we were going to find out. No, he was there this whole time and had some, not just behind the scenes, kept catching monsters for no reason. Like. Right. I don't know, man. It was just. I guess I understand sort of what it was doing. I even get like right now. I'm like confused talking about it because I remember just being like, "What? Why? Why was he the guy?"
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right.
Bottom line is, I think it's problematic when your main character has such a little impact on the actual plot of the movie.
There's got to be a line.
Yeah.
What would you drop it to?
It's like 73. Honestly, man, I would maybe put it at like 55
Wow.
or 60 if I want to keep it.
Yeah, I think you're being pretty light on it. It sounds like you had a lot of beef for you to only drop it 20.
I did, but it still has the whimsy. There's still some fun. There's still some cool. Like I love I do love the Harry Potter world. I love the Wizarding world. It's just annoying if it's like we're gonna do that era of because of course there's so much history you don't see in the Harry Potter books. There's plenty of shit that's happened before.
Oh, totally.
them. So it's like, but if you're gonna do that, then why not just start with fucking Dumbledore? Like, why not? If they just said, hey, guess what we're doing? We're doing a prequel to all the Harry Potter movies, and Dumbledore's the main character.
Young ass Dumbledore.
Everybody would have been like,
that would have been so on board.
strap me in because I'm gonna.
If it is young Dumbledore, I'll see those in theaters.
Yeah,
I didn't
Jude
see
Law.
this movie in theaters. I waited and because I was like, I don't know really what this is.
Jamie, what is your lower?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Boom. Take that shit down.
You know where it's at right now? On Rotten Tomatoes?
$1 million.
Roddy
I
Tommy
don't-
said
1 million.
400 million points. Okay. Do you guys like this movie?
I can see you gearing up to like a intrinsic feeling.
The
Like
word
97.
gear will come into. I know people love this
97
movie.
on Roddy
Yeah,
Tomatoes.
it's
I remember liking it.
very highly
I'm
rated.
gonna come right out and say I remember enjoying it.
Listen, not to put you guys in a box. There's no man who does not love this movie, and most women love it as well. But I hate this movie. I could not stand every second of it. I didn't check the score of it before we did an episode of my podcast on it, and I went in. My co-host loved it. Guest loved it. And I felt like I'd been shot. Like it was just this movie is no one talks. It's all brown. There is there's like a small person in charge of a titty milk factory, and
You're describing my every time I've ever gone to the bathroom. Every single time.
It's disturbing.
it's and my thing that really bungles it for me is just so much steampunk imagery, lots of gears, lots of leather vests, lots of skinheads, it's just I hate steampunks. I think that this is really where we get into it. I don't
okay.
steampunks. What's the point? It's based on nothing. It is. Steampunks need to grow up.
Wow. Listen, steampunks. I'm sick of you with your goggles out there traveling
what'd they
from
ever
town
do
to
to you?
town.
I've said this many times, and I've gotten some angry messages from steampunks. This is my life's mission. This is the only acceptable prejudice.
Why? What did they do?
No
I would argue
steampunk.
that this isn't necessarily steampunk. I think it's a defining factor
It's
for steampunk.
futuristic. It's
Right. It's dystopian. It's the
fictional-
future.
There are gears.
Okay.
There.
So it sounds like you hate gears.
I hate gears.
I'm not a fan of
and
gears.
leather, and I just
So
god.
your
I
issue is
hate
with the
this
aesthetic.
I was about
of the
to say,
film.
yeah,
You
so
really
the-
don't like the aesthetic.
Well, I also hate the
way turned off
story
by it.
and everyone in it. I don't like any. I don't like any of it. I like there's a group of Zoe Kravitz is actually in this movie, but they're
Daughter of Lenny.
eventually Mad Max and Bald Charlize come across this group of hot fuckable young pieces who they're like, oh, these are the ones that you fuck to make hot babies. And which is like, okay, I get why they have to look like Victoria's Secret models for the part. Very clever writing loophole, but they're like, they're dumb. They're half naked the whole time, and we're in the dystopian future, and it's just like, well, this doesn't seem very prudent. And then they're just, oh god, I can't stand this movie. Who's the main guy in
Wow,
the
last
movie?
year must have been fucking hard for you then, because that
No,
this was like
I didn't have to watch it until
no. I
earlier
just mean
this
like
year.
this got
yeah, right.
heralded.
not
Like
shut
yeah,
the
people
fuck
love
up
this
about-
movie.
Well, I was like, at the time it didn't matter because I just was like, it looks steampunk. Not gonna see it. Not interested.
But I will argue that the women are dressed. I agree. So
Everyone will make
there's-
this argument.
There's supposed to be a sort of reverence for these women, that they're very important. But we lose one, and it's kind of like we lost a horse. Like, we lost one of our payload.
I mean,
And
I
it is
didn't
kind of
feel
thing.
like
but
the-
they're dressed the way they're dressed because they're like essentially escaping sex prisoners, right? I mean, so they would be dressed like
Yeah,
the way
no,
they
you're
are.
right.
Kind of
Yeah,
wear,
but
like,
that's a plot
Greek
device
goddess
invented
robes.
to make people feel okay about wanting to jerk off. Like which is
I don't know. I think that's a really
I
negative
suppose.
way to look at it, though. Like I
do feel very negatively about.
I had gotten the impression it was just supposed to be like this survival story. Like, I don't know. I never, like, we've talked about this with Split, where it's like when you can feel the movie, the hands behind the movie, and you can feel when their intentions are wrong.
Right.
And I hear, if it sounds like what you're saying is that you feel like the intention of like showing those girls was like wrong, right? Like you feel like it's coming from sort of a nasty
it was
place.
Sneaky.
Got-
I think
sure.
it was a sneak,
Yeah, sure.
It's like a sneaky.
quit trying to turn me on.
Hollywood thing
Cut it
to
out.
do. Right, or it's just like, oh, but there's a great reason why we're trying to make you horny right now. There's a higher level reason you can interpret it in a number of ways. Ultimately, I was just like, it's not my kind of movie to begin with.
Yeah.
But there's so many basic parts of this movie that I'm just like, it's just exhausting for me.
That's fair.
Sure.
I wasn't horny by it.
Yeah, I was.
I was kind of like,
Yeah, I don't
it
have
was
any
kinda
like
too
sexual
gross of
feelings
a-
about it anyway. Like I don't assign like any kind of like, oh, that's sexy to that movie at all, to be perfectly honest. But like I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah.
About it does feel I can see the exploitative argument, and it's kind of funny that this movie, which is heralded as like this feminist picture with Furiosa being like held up as one of the strongest female protagonists of like the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
I kind of see what you're getting at, of kind of like, let's dig below the surface a little bit and actually look at the problematic shit beyond, like, yeah, Furiosa is a great female character, but there's more shit at play here than just that. So like, I totally
Right.
see that angle. I don't necessarily agree, but I mean,
I know it's no one agrees with me on this, but and then the other thing is Mad Max, like whatever, everyone's like,
wasn't even that angry.
he isn't. First of all, he's not mad.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
no, he was totally
He's
chill.
more quietly seething Max.
Yeah, calm Max.
But then
Grumpy
also
Max
just
didn't
like
work.
his whole backstory is like my daughter, like that. That is every.
Yeah.
That's just a trope that I'm just like.
No, I listen.
My
Everything you're
daughter.
saying right now, like I completely understand what
But
you're
my
saying.
daughter died, and I still have dreams about her. It's like, okay, but also every video game ever, my daughter, my wife, and it's just, ugh.
You know,
Boring.
this is
Hate
a
it.
video game. I will give it that. Like a lot of this is like drive the car, and we're gonna like
Yeah,
pull
yeah, yeah.
away. But that being said, like those action scenes, and you say everything was brown. I think they did a remarkably great job with the coloring in this. I do, yeah, everything was brown, but like juxtaposed against the impossibly blue sky, against like the
orange. I don't
gold,
think I'd say
like
brown.
chrome. Well, the sky was like blue at parts, right? Like
Yeah,
that was
no, I'm saying, but like
Oh, the
orange. I would
sand.
say
Yes,
orange
I see
more
what you
than.
mean.
Right.
So I would actually argue I think this movie was incredibly colorful. I mean, it was on a certain palette, definitely.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it was like a desert palette.
Whatever. I mean, if that aesthetic doesn't vibe with you, it doesn't vibe with you. It's like that's that.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
argue
just-
you out of that. But
It's just not for me. But I think
It sounds like every step of the way it was like, nah, that was not your thing.
right. Where
Right.
And the parts of it that don't make me annoyed, I don't like enough to be like, well, there are good parts. It's like, well, there's parts I don't that don't make me want to flip a table over.
Sure.
But so yeah, I would dock this movie from 97 to like 75. Like, I get that
That's
it's a
a
good
fair-
movie that's
fair.
not for me, but it's not the best movie.
Well, no, but it's funny because even you saying like your position, I would maybe even dock that movie a little bit. Like I kind of was.
yeah, not 97.
I didn't see it in theaters, which people gave me a lot of shit for because
Yeah.
apparently that was like a great experience to see, and it was loud, and the cars were cool, and it was just this big fun chase.
Sure.
But like the first time I saw it was just in my apartment, like in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
Amber and I
same.
we were just sat and like watched it.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know, but I like it's weird when something like that does a deceptively simple thing really well, like because I know it wasn't simple. It's not like it was an easy movie to make or whatever. But when they do that and then it gets like, you know, insane critical reception where people are like, it's just amazing and it's got someone blah, 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 and it's just
Right.
it's a feat of filmmaking, which it is. But it's always hard to look at it and be like, oh, all right, it's funny though that it's like an action movie that got that much attention. It's
Right,
kinda,
right.
I mean, which is also it's also cool. I mean, to
I'd
me,
be
it's
interested in seeing like how that movie holds up for people in like 10 years from
Yeah.
now. Will it still be as well regarded as it is right now, or will it be like, oh yeah, that movie was good?
Sure.
So 97 to 75. That's
75.
pretty gentle, even from how it feels like how
Yeah, I
you're.
hated this. There was nothing good in this movie. 20 points off.
I hated it,
But you're being
but
fair. This is
also
reasonable
I
beef.
understand why people like it.
Sure.
I was never gonna like this movie.
Fair.
Yeah.
Readable.
Yeah, reasonable
Hey,
beef.
thanks.
Okay, we'll move on.
All right,
My
Tim.
raise, lower,
Lower.
Pacific Rim.
Yes. Oh, I'm on board with this one.
Yeah.
With Guillermo del Toro, directed it, 2012.
German
Del
Nerd.
Yeah, Gilman Terrasso,
Greg.
Greg Thomas.
Or in Harry Potter.
Greg Del Taco.
Well, there's the one. So directed this. I guess it came out 2012. Stars a bunch of, I guess, relatively unknowns, except for Idris. It is really only the super
Idris
significant
Elba.
name is fantastic man.
Statuesque.
This is at a 71, which already is not super.
Oh, wow.
high.
It's only 71.
So like I
I
think
would have thought I would have been higher.
Yeah, me too, right? Because like everyone I know really digs this movie. And I could say this as somebody who really likes kaiju shit, really likes mecha. I'm
Yeah,
a huge
it's-
fan of Gundam. I'm a huge fan of Votoms and anime and not kissing girls. But primarily, I hated this. Not only as a movie, but as a piece of like mecha and kaiju cinema. I really disliked it. The characters... It almost seemed to have this juxtaposition of being like a silly military like movie on purpose, which I don't love because we've seen plenty of that on accident. That's just not that great. You know what I mean? It doesn't
Right.
resonate as a good parody. Mako, the only real female character in this movie, has like no agency as a human being. Like there's a great
Yeah,
scene
that's
where this dude is like the pilot of the Australian robot is like, "Yo, suck, you're not good pilots, you bad." And she's a bitch. And then as soon as he says bitch, he like grabs the dude's arm and goes, apologize to her. It's like,
Cool.
what is this?
Give her a chance to stand up for herself.
No, but seriously, and that's what the scene should have been, where she decks the shit out of him and beats the fuck out of him.
Right, yeah.
Instead, she requires her Jake Sully, or whatever the fuck this like mindless marine guy is supposed to be.
God,
Like,
was
has
that
to
an
stand up for
Avatar
her.
reference?
Yes.
Holy Christ.
I was
It's
like,
coming back.
like,
Jake
where is
Sully.
that?
Oh, because Jake Sully is the ultimate
There's
nobody.
a name I haven't heard.
Jake.
Seriously.
Oh, that's the only memorable thing is just these alien creature going, Jake Sully. So that's all I remember from
How
that.
is that a character name?
I don't
That's
know.
that sounds like someone that was in my high school class in New England. Like, is Jake Sully here? Or like two best friends. Is Jake and Sully?
Yeah, Jake and Sully.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, but I agree with you, man. I mean, Pacific Rim, that was one of those weird ones where it was like supposed to be for us. Like it feels like that was I should have seen that movie and been like, yeah.
Sure.
But I called you when I left the theater because I was so mad.
Whoa.
That movie disappointed me. Do you remember this? I was in I think I might have been in California.
Angeles, cool.
I fucking called you and I remember being
Los Angeles,
like
California?
That's the place.
Whoa, dog.
I don't even remember the movie, but like I remember my reaction being it was stupid. and it wasn't fun stupid. And I remember everybody's argument to me was like, oh, but it's robots punching aliens. What'd you think it was going to be like? And I'm like, you shut your stupid head, because what I thought it was going to be like was either aware that it was being stupid or just
really solid
or good, or just and surprise me, and it be emotional, and it be like, me and my dad, I started cracking up with my dad when the third tall muscular blonde dude showed up who was a new character, and they all looked the same, and I was like, clearly at the end there was like casting by some lady, and I was like, well, I know
she has
her type.
It's all of her hot sons. And here's another one of my sexy sons.
It just, it really fired me up, and it's that same thing where almost with Mad Max. I'm sure you felt similarly, where people had all of these like, you would hear the same argument over and over again to people, but when you're like, no, why are you feeding into this? Why do you? Yeah. Why are you accepting this as like a fun monster movie? I don't know.
This was another movie that I did see it. I saw it in a group of friends because I'm like, well, you gotta have friends. Sometimes you gotta do things you don't want to do to have friends.
I don't even remember, and I just remember the lack of like emotional stuff and the lack of charm from the main character was not absolved by when the monsters were fighting. Yeah. When they I remember being like, and this wasn't even cool enough to me. And maybe that's crazy. I'm sure there's someone who hears that and is like, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, of course it's cool. What's cooler than that? I need to maybe watch it again, because
because I did a rewatch. I did a rewatch before this, and I really did, and I had a lot of the same issues. The coolest part about this movie is the cockpit with the two of them, and it's shot practically with them in a room, like moving in sync. That's the only significant, because all of the fight choreography in this sucks. It sucks, and it's bad. And how am I supposed to take seriously? So you want me to feel the death of these three countries' robots and these characters that we kind of grew to know, and it's like, oh, they're all dying one by one. And then this guy has a sword that can cut the thing in half, and he doesn't use it until the very last minute. There's a lot of fighting and punching and picking up the monster and throwing it into the ocean, where it lives, by the way. And it's like, this is not effective. None of this is and it's very Japanese in that way. So that is kind of like what kaiju fights sort of are. I mean, it's Power Rangers. It's all them not really doing enough until they finally use the special power and then kill the guy. But in a movie in 2012, that's extremely frustrating to watch. I did not find anything satisfying about the way that the monsters were fighting. Right. Which is, and if it doesn't work on the human level and it doesn't work on the big ass monster level, what level is it working on?
I remember thinking that Charlie, what's his name? Charlie.
Oh yeah, Charlie Day.
Charlie Day. I remember leaving and thinking he was supposed to be the main character.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, the two main, not let alone the main dude, I gave not a single solitary good golly goddamn about. He lost a brother in the first 3 minutes that we didn't even get to know. We didn't even get to figure out who the brother was. Like,
I have a similar complaint for something that happens in I, Frankenstein. We don't get to know the hot gargoyle, really. Hardly knew him.
A crime.
I'm like, the hot one? Why?
I really thought that was going like, I lost my brother in the first 3 minutes. I never got to know him either, so I can really relate to that.
That'd be fucking dark.
No, I was like, but what about the hot gargoyle? I wish we knew what he. So, what did he think?
What do you bring Pacific Rim down to, Tim?
It's at a 71. I drop it to like a 41. I really don't think that. I don't really think it just didn't work effectively. I mean, it was a competently put together movie, I suppose.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't give a fuck about anybody, anything, and that's rough because I'm a feeler. I feel things. I feel emotions.
Yeah, I don't like to not connect.
I want to give a shit.
Of course, I want to.
Love to feel. I have that tattooed on my heel. Love to feel my heel, but it just didn't work out. No. I wish it did. And they're coming out with a sequel. I think it's called like Uprising or something equally generic. And I'll give it a shot. I'll definitely go see it just because big robots.
I want to see young Dumbledore.
Me too.
I'm excited for that.
Jude Law. Did you hear me say that?
Really?
Yeah. He's not excited.
He's the young Pope and the young Dumbledore.
Yes.
Crazy, because he's like not.
He's like
young.
46.
Yeah, no.
He's like middle aged.
He was also the young Lemony Snicket.
How fucking rad is he
was.
Though?
He did a bad job.
Oh yeah.
Everyone in that movie did a bad job.
You're a big fan, right?
Of the series, not of that movie.
Thank God. I really hated the series. Wait.
Movie.
The series on Netflix. What did you think of it?
It was pretty good.
Really?
It did better. I mean, it did better than the movie. The movie is bad.
I don't know.
The movie was stinky. The TV series is fine. Although there hasn't been a good count all off. You can't keep casting big ass names as Count Olaf. They're gonna ham it up and muck up the whole thing.
Sure. It
I
seemed
think
to
I
me
agree.
like Neil Patrick Harris was just kind of doing
the Jim Carrey
Jim
thing,
Carrey.
yeah.
from
Right.
the
And
movie.
it's just like, no, but Jim Carrey did a bad job. That's
Right.
why we're doing it
I mean,
again.
I love Jim Carrey in most things, so. But
I
was on
I
board.
would fight Jim Carrey.
Whoa, because of that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Wow.
He's so bendy though. Like he has so much reach.
I know,
on
you'd
you.
have a
Like,
hard
he
time
would be
getting a hit in.
Just crawl up onto the ceiling like his hands against.
I could kill Jim Carrey with my legs.
Holy God.
I would panini press him to death.
All right, so.
Twist
my
his head like
legs.
a walnut. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this. Has been Reasonable Beef. Why don't we give a three-headed critic?
Oh, boy. On all of these?
On all of it. On all of our feelings about all these movies. So this is a game we play. It's identical.
Christ.
It's just a stupid improv game. Everybody says one word until it's a coherent thought. I guess about this episode.
This episode. Okay.
So we're going to start Dom, Jamie, Tim. Back to Dom.
Okay.
Okay.
When
You
Think,
you
almost
watched,
a
certain
kind,
of
film
you,
actually
find
that,
you
have
not,
watched
a
certain
kind
of
film.
period.
All right.
amazing.
Thanks, guys.
We were too in sync with each other.
Put
like,
it
there
in
was
a fortune cookie.
no disruption.
We're good to go.
When you think you have
Oh, it was
watched
like after the third
a
one.
certain kind of film, you actually have not.
have not watched a
Watched
certain,
a certain
kind. Because
kind of
what is a certain kind?
That's a
of
fucking.
That's what we're all about here, Reasonable Beef. Turning your expectations on their fucking
That was a
head.
political answer.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's true. Yeah, we should be elected for.
All right, guys. Fuck Trump. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, Jamie. Hey, if you like this, please go to www.patreon.com/reasonablebeef and give what you can. Any amount of money at all gives you access to bonus beef, which is our month-end wrap-up email reading. Is that a good name? Thank you.
I love it.
Bonus.
And it gives you bonus beef, and you can hear us talk
We
when
just
we answer
need
your emails.
A little more beef.
Send emails to reasonablebeef@gmail.com. We'll read them on the month-end episode. I just want to thank Jamie. Thank you so much. Do you have any plugs?
Thank you,
Anything cool
Jamie.
coming up?
Listen to my podcast. It's Bechtelcast.
Yeah. No, seriously, listen to it. It's really funny.
And if you want to hear, if you loved how much I hate steampunks, boy, you're gonna
Oh,
love
boy, howdy.
that podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter at Hamburger Fun. That's all.
Fun.
Can I say, I've always wanted to say this to you. What a fucking grab to get at Hamburger Phone. What a nab. I'm surprised that nobody's like tried to buy that
crazy.
from you yet.
Dude, 07, baby. I was
Wow.
14 when I started
Hell yeah.
tweeting.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Diablo Cody was pissed.
She was so mad.
Lonely old ghost upstairs. Regular folks dropping our worldly cares. Swapping our jokes, me and the ghost upstairs. And then he slaps his shroud and laughs out loud, and he says, oh boy, that'll paralyze all the crowd. Jolly old ghost upstairs. He's quite a cook. He serves a beautiful drink. He wrote a book, and with invisible ink I took a look, and the title upon my